In this video, we're going to name alcohols. Let's jump right in. Alcohols. Of course, these are compounds in organic chemistry. They have the OH, the alcohol or hydroxyl group on it. And there's two ways of naming things. We can name it the technical IUPAC way, or you can name it a common way. So we'll learn both ways of naming things. The technical way of naming alcohols is to take the alkane name, you remove the E, and you add the suffix "-ol". Alcohols end in "-ol", methanol, ethanol, cholesterol. So when you hear "-ol" at the end of a name, you know you're dealing with an alcohol. So let's just name some of the simplest of alcohols. If you have a 1-carbon alcohol, that would be 1 carbon is methane. So this would be, instead of methane, remove the E, add "-ol". So that's methanol. And the common way of naming an alcohol is to name the alkyl group you're dealing with and put the word alcohol on the end. So this would be methyl, since there's 1 carbon, alcohol. 2-carbon alcohol, 2 carbons is ethane. Remove the E, put "-ol" on the end. So this is ethanol. And the common name for this would be 2 carbons is an ethyl group, ethyl alcohol. Or this is also drinking alcohol or booze. But this is ethyl alcohol. 3-carbon alcohol. Let's put the alcohol group here. This is 3 carbons is propane. Remove the E, add "-ol". So this is propanol. Now, sometimes when we're dealing with alcohols, it matters which carbon the alcohol group is on. So this is on the 1st carbon of this chain. So somebody might call that 1-propanol. Or a newer way of doing it would be propane 1-ol, where you put the 1 right in front of the alcohol suffix, right where the OH group is, which carbon it's on. If it's on the 2nd carbon, that would be 2-propanol, or propane 2-ol. It's on the 2nd carbon. What if it's on the 3rd carbon? Is that 3-propanol? No, it's not. Because you can number the carbons from left to right or right to left. It doesn't really matter. But you want the alcohol to be on the lowest carbon. So this is also 1-propanol. This is the exact same compound as this one. You just take the compound and you flip it over, and this becomes this. So we have to have the same name for the same compound. Doesn't matter if you're looking at something like this or like this is still my right hand. The common name for these would be propyl alcohol. And this one, since it's an isomer of propanol, is isopropyl alcohol, or isopropanol. And remember, the iso suffix or the iso prefix means you have a Y on something. So isopropyl alcohol or isopropanol is the Y with the alcohol. Let's do this compound. We find the longest carbon chain. 6 carbons long, so it's some kind of hexane. That will name that part of the compound. And the parts we haven't named yet, we have a methyl group, and we have our alcohol. That'll be the "all" suffix. So we have to determine which way should we number these. Should we number from right to left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or should we number the other way? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when we named hydrocarbons, we always wanted to find the first low number that we could, and we number that way. That might make us think that we'll number from right to left because we hit something at 2, the methyl's on 2, and the alcohol would be on 4 then. But that's not the way we do alcohols. The alcohol part of the name is more important than the methyl part of the name. So we want the alcohol to have the lowest number. So that means 1, 2, 3 for alcohol or 4 for alcohol. We like those bottom numbers better. So that means the alcohol is on carbon 3. So you can write hexane 3-all. And the methyl's on carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'd be 5-methyl hexane 3-all, or 5-methyl, you could put the 3 here, hexanol. This is probably better, but they're both really okay. All right, a couple more things about some common names. If you have 2 alcohols on something, a diol, or if they're right next to each other, 2 alcohols, that's called a glycol. When we name glycols, the common name for them is they're made from double bond compounds. This alkene. And the common name for this is ethylene. So this is the glycol that comes from ethylene, or it's called ethylene glycol. That's what most people would call that. This is propylene. So the 3-carbon glycol is propylene glycol. And ethylene glycol and propylene glycol are the compounds in antifreeze. So that's how you name glycols. One last thing I'd like to teach you. This phenyl ring, if it has an alcohol on it, is called a phenol. For phenyl and alcohol, a phenol. And if I have a phenol, remember it doesn't matter if it's the ring with the circle in it or the 3 double bonds, that means the same thing. If I have a phenol with a group here, let's make it chlorine. Or if I have a group here on a phenol, or I have this one. All 3 of those chlorophenols are different from each other. Maybe somebody would call this one 2-chlorophenol, or 3-chlorophenol, or 4-chlorophenol. That's great. That's what you could name those. But there's another naming system we use when we have 2 groups on a phenyl ring like this. So if you have a phenyl ring, and this is the important group, the OH group, the alcohol in our case, this position is called the ortho position to that. This position is called the meta position to that. And this is called the para position, ortho, meta, para. And the way you can remember that, if this is my R group, ortho, meta, and para, you romp around the ring. So ROMP, whatever that R group is, if you're next door to it, that's ortho, then comes meta, then comes para. So this could also be called ortho chloro, I missed an R. Ortho chlorophenol, or O-chlorophenol. And this would be meta chlorophenol. phenol. And of course, para-chlorophenol. So ortho-meta-para. Well, that's it for naming alcohols. It can get more complicated than that, but I think it's best just to start simply and learn the first basics for naming alcohols. Hey, check out some of the other alcohol videos I have. The next one in the series is the spectroscopy of alcohols, where we get into the NMR, IR, and mass spec of alcohols.